Can artificial intelligence write a children's book? And is that kind of weird and scary by itself? It can in a lot of ways, but again, it's really there in how I'm showing this, as to how it can help you maybe write different types of things in this section around writing books. And one is you could write a children's book. You could write a children's book that you might want to have published on your own or become a children's author. Maybe you want to write a nice little book to give to your own children, your son or your daughter or niece or nephew, and you could really personalize it with their names, be part of the characters, or they're part of the story even, so there's ways you can use this. And then later I'm going to show you how to use like different things for book covers and art and all sorts of stuff, so you can make this easier, so you don't have to, let's say, be an artist to draw your children's book. You can use ChatGPT AI to create the text and the content and help you with your developing of your plot and your content and your characters and all that, and then use other AI type services and other types of tools, all of which are free. Everyone I'm going to show you is free, but there's also some paid ones too, to help you with the artwork and kind of book covers and putting it all together. All right, so if you saw the first couple lessons, I had this on writing a nonfiction book and writing a fiction book. Very similar process, but we're going to do a couple of things a little different for the children's book section. And if you're hearing this for the first time in the children's book section, because you just jumped right to here, hey, that's great. I'll cover it all here real quickly as well too. All right, I'm back at ChatGPT, and you can see on the left side here where I wrote my nonfiction book about dividend investing and my murder mystery at the ski resort. It's remembering those chats, right? So if I went on the murder mystery thing, everything that I left off on is right here. But we want to start a new chat. You don't want to build on a chat that's already there. If I tried to write my children's book while I'm talking about the murder mystery at the ski resort, that might not be a wonderful children's book. So let's say I'm just having a conversation now. I'm going to have this conversation with this AI, this artificial intelligence. Think of it as a friend maybe, and you want to bounce ideas off the person, and maybe you want to start fleshing out your book, right? And so you got to have some ideas to start. I mean, I never tried this, but I don't think you can say, give me an idea for a children's book. Actually, I think it would give you ideas for a children's book, but and you can try that in your own at home, ask it for that. But try to think of just some general ideas, and I've got a general idea here. Let's say I'm going to write a children's book, and I'll say, could you write, I'm going to start with an outline, right? An outline about, for a children's book about, my friends from Canada would say, from Canada would say a boot. I live near Canada, not in Canada, but live near. So about, or boot, about, what do we want our children's book about? Let's say we want it to be about a kitten who gets lost. Where do you want the kitten to get lost? Let's say lost in the woods, and after a series of adventures, finds its way home to its mother. All right? So this is a pretty broad thing, right? So find its way home to its mother. And I'll hit enter. All right, so this is artificial intelligence. It just starts writing for me, right? So I'm looking for an outline. I want to start thinking about this. So here's the kitten whose name is Whiskers. All right, so maybe I hate that name. I do hate that name. Actually, I want to show you something too where I want to change the name and add another character. And it talks about, but basically the outline will be good. So get separated from a family, and then there's adventures in the woods, and there's danger along the way, and then they find their way home and all that, and meeting new animal friends, and all this, right? So it's a pretty basic, good, short children's book. Children's books are not War and Peace. Kids can only give you so much time. And then there's a conclusion where the adventure teaches the importance of perseverance, determination, and the power of friendship. All right? So you can have this be whatever you want. It's the importance of family, maybe you want to say, or it's the importance of never giving up, which is like determination. So I could take this outline and I could say, can you adapt this outline? Let's say I want to change the name of the kitten, right? For the kitten whose name is Mitty, the kitty. I'll capitalize that, all right? So we like Mitty. All right, nobody likes Mitty. I like it. Mitty the kitty. All right, so it's Mitty the kitty, and she, Barsh, can you, well, okay. So we're going to change the name to Mitty the kitty. She meets a friend in the woods called Boyd the beaver who helps, let's say it's a her. See if it changes the tense. Or the who helps her. All right. So now I'm taking the outline that they have that's pretty good, and now I'm just going to change a little bit so it's kind of, matching what I want it to be. All right. So now it talks about introduction. Mitty the kitty lives with her mother and siblings in a cozy home. One day she gets separated from Malite, and then the same thing, right? She has these different encounters various animals, including a friendly rabbit and a wise old owl, and all that, right? So in all this, right? So and Mitty faces danger, but with Boyd's help, she's able to navigate through it. And with Boyd's guidance and all this, so you're building out this Boyd part, right? The Boyd the beaver, right? And I could say, could you outline in detail? Let's see, we got a wise old owl, right? Well, it's chapter 2, but the owl is not wise. The owl is mean and wants to steal Mitty's lunch. Mitty's got her lunch with her, right? This mean old owl wants to steal Mitty's lunch. Maybe Boyd will help her. We'll see what the AI does. Again, now this is just giving us the ideas. Then we're going to rewrite this, and we're going to write this in our own form and what we want to be. But you can see how how this can really help as far as reorganizing your thoughts, right? So now the owl introduces itself as the wise old owl of the woods and offers to help Mitty find her way home. Ooh, that mischievous owl, right? Mitty shares her lunch with the owl, being a friendly and polite kitten. The owl accepts as soon as Mitty takes out the lunch, the owl reveals his true nature. Oh my goodness. Becoming greedy and demanding, insists that Mitty gives all the lunch to him. See, now we can use this as a story about being nice versus taking other people's lunch. So now this is all built up. There's a retaliation by the owl. She escapes the owl, and she continues her journey, right? So then this is stuff that we could build out a little further. Again, this is a children's book, so it's not going to be a lot more writing, but it gives you an idea how you could build this out. And let's say we want to include, a family member in this. So let's say my son's name is Patrick, right? So let's say, could you write about the love that Patrick, and let's say this for a little kid book when he's little, he's older now, but let's say who is 8 years old, let's make it younger, is 5 years old and is Mitty's owner and friend. All right. Hopefully it won't get weird, right? So, yeah, so here's the possible additions about Mitty the kitty and her owner and friend Patrick, right? So Patrick, so this is now rewriting the outline, so it's basically taking that, and then I can kind of build up that with, spends his days playing with Mitty, exploring the woods together, or taking care of. He's always worried Mitty is not around, and then so you can build on this. So then Mitty gets on her adventure. Patrick is devastated. He's worried about her, right? Because Mitty's lost. And then when Mitty finally returns, Patrick is overjoyed, embraces her with love and affection, and promises to always take care of her, right? And the conclusion is that the special bond that can between a child and their pet, how much love and care a child can have for the pet, and how the relationship can be a source of joy and comfort for both the child and the pet, right? So you can see how I'm changing this a little bit, how I'm making my own, and then I'm going to rewrite it, and write it more in my style, or maybe more of that type of style. So there, I'm writing a children's book right now. I mean, how long would it take you to write this story, right? If you write this story, you guys send me money, but it's all right. You write your own way. Of course, you'd want to write your own story. So now we have our outline. We've gotten some stuff. We would want to continue and build this all out. That's the main part of the children's book. But the children's book needs a title, right? And it can't be like a nonfiction business book title. It's got to be a title that would be attractive to maybe a 5-year-old, for example. So I would say, could you give me examples of titles for this book a 5-year-old may like? Now, maybe you want a 5-year-old would like. Now, maybe you might want to write it for the from the mom's perspective. I mean, the mom of a 5-year-old would like, because the mom is the one who's actually going to buy it, or the dad, or something like that. Or maybe it's something like you're giving this book away for free because you own a pet store, or you have a blog on pets and things, and you want to share this book. Get this free children's book if you buy the pet food from my website, or sign up for my subscription or my newsletter or whatever. So here we have Mitty the Brave, The Adventure of a Lost Kitten, Mitty and Patrick's Big Adventure. It's kind of like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, right? If you know that old movie. And you see different ones, Misadventures, Whiskers, Mittens, and Love. That was from before. Mitty and Boy, the like Mitty and Patrick's Forced Fun. Well, was it not fun with that owl? But I like this one, Mitty the Brave, The Adventures of a Lost Kitten, right? So let's say that could be your title, and then now that you got a title, maybe you need a description for that title. And if you're not sure about these titles, you could ask it to give you more. Could you give me 5 more, right? So, well, it's thinking there. Here's 5 more titles. But I'm liking Mitty the Brave, The Adventure of a Lost Kitten, unless something really strikes me here. Story of Friendship Encouraged. That's not a bad one. These are not bad ones too. If I was writing this and all I want to do is write this book for my child, I'm not going to sell it, I'm not going to do anything with it, I might call it Mitty and Patrick Best Friends Forever, right? Or adjust that, right? Patrick's Big Search, the story of a boy and his kitten, right? So then it's about Patrick, more about Mitty, and you got 2 storylines going at the same time, and maybe Patrick saves Mitty from some wild bear or something like that in the woods, right? So I have these titles, but let's say I like this title, and you need a good description for the book, right? The people buy based on the description of the book. The cover gets their attention, the title gets them interested, but if you were looking to sell it, you want a good description of the book. So let's say I say, could you give me a description for the book? And then I want to be specific, like what is it going to be, that actual title, right? Because there's all these titles, there's all these different outlines I've got. At this point, maybe I've written my book, and I need a title, and I've got my title. Now let's get a description for it. So I'm just copying, pasting. Mitty the Brave, The Adventure of a Lost Kitten. So I'm going to stick with that one. And I hit Enter key, and sure, here's a possible description of the children's book, Mitty and the Brave, The Adventure of a Lost Kitten. So trying to write descriptions and have them be kind of salesy, but also describe the book and get people interested to make that purchase, if you're looking to do that, is tricky, right? So AI, using all the information in its database and all that, is leveraging all the information out there and helping to write this, right? So Mitty the Brave is an exciting and heartwarming story of a curious kitten named Mitty, and then talks about her best friend Patrick. She meets a wise old owl who turns out not to be so nice, but wise. He's a trickster, and a kind beaver named Boyd along the way, right? So, this is like, it's a charming story of friendship, adventure, and determination. Will delight children and parents alike. And it will show children that no matter how hard things get, the courage and determination, they can achieve anything, right? So, that's a nice, friendly, written for a younger kid or parent. Actually, this could be good for parents or kids. A nice description there. For fun, let's write that description in a specific author style. So let's say, one second here. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to take my copy paste here, because obviously typing is not my forte. And so the same thing, The Adventures of the Lost Kitten, I could either regenerate the response, or it might create the same response, but I want to add a little more to it. And I might want to say, in the style of, let's go weird here, Stephen King, horror novelist, right? Famous horror writer. Let's see what it does here. I don't even know if I could even write this on my own in the style of Stephen King. I'm not plagiarizing Stephen King. He's never written a book about Mitty the Kitty, but I'm using that style, right? Mitty the Brave, The Adventure of a Kitten is a tale of terror and triumph, right? So it's maybe this would be more taller. Meet Mitty, a young and curious kitten who, while exploring the forest, becomes lost in twisted, treacherous paths of the woods, right? So deeper in the forest, like this, host of terrifying creatures, from the wise old owl with a hunger for kitten flesh. Look at that, with a hunger for kitten flesh. You'd have to change your book from steals her lunch to trying to steal her life, to the kind beaver named Boyd with hidden agendas. boy, the beaver has hidden agendas. So obviously you would want to match this to what you're looking to do. Now, another way you could do this, by the way, is you could write kind of your title first or a description first, and then write a title, and then write an outline, right? So you're getting ideas here, like maybe if I went a different way, and I did that first before my outline, and gave it information, and I gave it information like, boy's kind, but he's got, hidden agendas. Owls like to eat the kittens, all that stuff. I can then, basically build on that and use that as, let's say, my description. And lastly, let's do one more for fun. And if you want to skip this part, go ahead. But I'm going to do it as a young adult science fiction or dystopian, right? Minnie the Bear, the Eventual Lost Kitten, targeting young adults, which is a whole other genre. And it takes place in a dystopian world. I like dystopian. Maybe there's woods, but it's dystopian woods. Can you have dystopian woods? I should have added zombies. Maybe there's zombies. So here it's just doing it, right? If I asked you to do that same thing, could you take what I've given you so far and now write it, but in a dystopian world? It might take you an hour to write just the description, maybe more. It might not be that great. It might be better than this, by the way. I'm not a judge on that. I'm just saying this is to help you, right? So the thrilling dystopian tale, right? The dystopian tale where the forests are longer safe. So you got a forest, but it's no longer safe. The Mitty's now young and fierce, right? So he's surviving in a dystopian world. A terrible, destroyed world. Patrick gets separated by a group of ruthless hunters. So now there's hunters. So obviously you would have to, the band of survivors have banded together, right? This is just like, zombie apocalypse type stuff. Story of survival and friendship and so on. Now, obviously you want your description to match what you actually wrote, but this, again, you could start this way as well. So there I wrote a children's book. That was a really nice children's book. And then it got weird with this owl stealing lunch. And then Stephen King wrote that you helped Stephen King help me write this into a horror novel, a horror children's book, to get really weird. And then we, to take care of our young adult fans, we wrote this as a young adult book in the dystopian world. Meanwhile, it's still Mitty the Kitty, just different ways, right? And so something to think about as far as something that you can do too. And again, you can create your own book, your brand new book, or, if you want to just make a little children's book for your own children or your relatives, you can do it easily. You don't have to get published or be a weird author or anything like this. And I'm going to show you how to make cover art and all that if you want to make it really fancy. And this could be a nice little children's book you can make. I think that's a clever way to do it. All right, so there you go. Use books as far as creating books, whether you want a nonfiction book, a fiction book, even a children's book. It's really limited to your imagination and how you want to converse and ask questions of ChatGPT to help you.